All right, I think we are live. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the channel. How are you all doing out there? You can't talk to me because, this is how it works, but you can chat with us over here. This is Monica Garrison of Black Girls Do Bike. Welcome to the channel. Dun, da, da. We'll let people fill up in here first before we get started with the conversation, but just want to welcome everybody out there in the virtual internet YouTube world. Thank you so much for being here today. Thank you so much for watching my videos in general and supporting the channel. I love being able to do what I do. I love sharing these stories. I love inspiring people to get on their bikes. And that's why I've invited Monica here today, because that's what she does. She inspires people to get on bikes. So we'll just wait here for a little bit. Tell us where you're from in the comments over here, and give us some shout outs. I know my English followers, it's midnight, so maybe not many of them are in here right now. But if we go around the globe to the other side, maybe we can get some of our Australians and people from New Zealand. All right, we got Steve, who's finally here, thanking us for a live show. Sweet.
Oh, I can see it too.
Yeah, you can see them. Yeah, it's pretty cool. So, and I can click on this and I can highlight it. Look at that. Isn't that cool?
Oh,
that fun?
It's fancy.
It's fancy. It's like, all right, here we got somebody from Flatliner from Southern Ontario, Canada. Oh, wow. Here we go. Oh, we got Brian Sutton from Chicago. We got Boogie in Nature from St. Louis. What's up? We have Phyllis from Vegas. Oh, we got David Clayton from Baltimore. If you're just now, we are here with Monica Garrison from Black Girls Do Bike. We will get started with our conversation soon. I just want you all to fill up here in the broadcast before we get started, so you don't miss anything. We've got Brittany Greer from Golden, all the way down the road. Monica, you know that Coors beer is from Golden, Colorado.
Really?
That's your trivia today. Looks like we got somebody just after midnight in London. Thank you, Qui-Gon John. I like that name. It's half of a Star Wars name. We've got John Wilkes from New Mexico. What's up, my friend? How you doing? We've got Houston, Texas. We got Girl Power. That's for you, not me. We've got Dubai, Cleveland in the house. Diana B, welcome. How you doing? Oh, here we go. Another one. Mayorsdale, Pennsylvania, on the Great Allegheny Passage. Awesome. We were just talking about that, weren't we?
Yeah, we were.
All right, that's cool. We got my buddy Amir from New Jersey. Says hello to Monica. Total Control is his channel. This is so much fun. That's what I love about live YouTube videos.
This is great.
You can say hi to people as they pop it into the show. We've got Sun Fun from Canada. We got Tacoma, Washington. So we've got pretty much the whole country. We've got Sean from Albuquerque, New Mexico. What's this? What's in the cup, Monica?
Good old lemon water.
Lemon water. That's it.
Yeah.
Right on. Sure. Are we going to believe that? No, we'll say it's lemon water.
Well,
we've got Carlene Godfrey.
That's right. Uh-oh.
Is this? She says mom.
That's my mom. That's my mom.
Oh, that's great. Welcome, Mom. I love having moms on the channel. I bet my mom's in here somewhere. I wouldn't be anywhere without my mama. We've got Elijah from Boulder, all the way down the street from Boulder. Holy cow, I caught you guys live this time. Welcome, Turney. We got my friend, American Islander. All right, we've got Patrice from Quebec, Canada. We got some French speakers. Do you speak French, by the way, Monica?
No, I speak a little Spanish.
Okay, all right. Well, maybe we can talk to I have a lot of Spanish viewers for sure. All right, well, it is 5 minutes past the hour, and I think we should get started. So, ladies and gentlemen from around the world, viewers of my channel, thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate your support and watching my videos. It's such a pleasure, and I feel full of gratitude to be able to share stories with the world. And this is a story that I wanted to share with you as well, and that's why I have invited Monica Garrison from Black Girls Do Bike. Monica, where are you coming at us from?
I am on the east coast of the U.S. in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania.
Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. All right.
Yeah.
Well, let's get started with this. So, Black Girls Do Bike. You started it. You founded it. You created it. Why did you do this? What was the need, and what inspired you to say, you know what? it's time that there's a bike club for Black girls.
Yeah. So the year was 2013.
2013.
Yeah, and I was in a place in my life where I just needed something new, right? So the bike always throughout my life it was like a boomerang, I say. I got rid of it and somehow it always came back to me.
Yeah.
And I was at a place where I needed just some mental clarity and some, physical change. And I picked up the bike and I did a ton of research and I found a local bike shop, walked in and said, this is what I want. And I left with a bike that day.
Wow.
And so me and my two little ones, who were quite little at the time, just started riding as much as we possibly could. and the bike did for me all the things that I expected it and hoped that it would do. And by the end of that summer, I came to the realization that one, there weren't many women who looked like me that I, passed on the trails.
Yeah.
And two, this cycling could be a great thing for all these women that I, come in contact with on a day-to-day basis who are having the same stresses I'm having and, experiencing life the same way. And so I thought there should be more women on bikes, not just Black women, but women in general.
Yeah.
And so, so I created a Facebook page called Black Girls Do Bike, which was optimistically, yeah, sure we do, right? Because I figured if we're out there, this would attract those women. And the goal was really just to create this space where they could talk about how much they were passionate about bikes or get questions asked to help them to become better riders. And then one thing led to another. We can talk about that. But here we are 7 years later, and we've expanded beyond my belief.
Expanded beyond a Facebook page.
Absolutely. Absolutely. We have a website, of course, by the same name. And we're up to, I counted, we have 89 chapters now. So we're about to cross over that 90 mark.
Nice.
And we're all over the world.
The world?
All over the US. We go from Anchorage all the way to the Caribbean, Antigua. And I just got an inquiry this week from the UK. So I have an enthusiastic lady who wants to start a Black Girls Do Bike UK, which is mind-blowing.
Okay. So it went from a Facebook page, like a forum, and now it's a lot more. You go to the website, and maybe I'll share some photos, share the website, and you can speak over it as the photos are going by. But let's see, get the Chrome tag at this, and then boom, there it is. There's your website. Everybody's seeing it now. So you can kind of speak to what we're seeing here.
Right. So my goal with the page was always to just create this really warm, inviting place where people were like, wow, all these smiling faces, all these happy people on bikes. Maybe that's something I want to take an opportunity to enjoy. So I want to attract people to cycling. And hopefully that's what I've done here. But the page it's got everything. It's got a list of our chapters. It has some videos which can be inspiring of people of color who ride and why they ride. We have our Black Girls Do Bike shop where you can buy cycling gear, because I always think, sometimes that could be a barrier if you don't know what to wear to show up to ride.
Yeah,
and
clothes are really weird. That's definitely a barrier.
Absolutely. But I want our ladies to show up to cycling events and feel like, they fit in and they look great. And so that was why we started selling cycling gear and t-shirts and things like that.
You designed it all? I love the colors.
Yeah. We have we work with a company called Hill Killer, who's amazing, and they work with us from day one. And they, I have the vision, or our chapters have a vision, and we work with them and come up with a design, and they bring it to life. And then we see it out on the roads, and it's pretty cool.
So there's chapters all over the United States, almost 90. You're probably going to be over 100 in no time. What do the chapters do? Are they organized rides, either mechanic clinics? What you got going on?
They're free to do whatever they want and need to do based on the needs of their chapter, right? So we require that they ride at least once a month, which is, a minimal requirement. But that's just so that we can have at least one beginner-friendly ride, so people can show up and not be intimidated by, what they're tasked to do. But beyond that, sure, they have clinics, how to wash your bike. We did that last year here in Pittsburgh. Bike maintenance, those kind of classes. They partner with bike shops so that they can, have those resources as well, and local bike ped organizations. So the goal is just to be out in the biking community, and make the connections that can bring resources to your chapters.
Wow. And I saw on your Instagram, everybody out there, they have a wonderful Instagram. It's at Black Girls Do Bike. Check it out. You had a big ride in Portland, Oregon last week. Tell us about that.
Yeah.
I mean, you weren't there, but your people were, your army was.
Well, that's the great part. Like, all these things happen without really me, pulling the strings, and then you just see these amazing results. But I believe that was like a Ride for Justice, where they just invited everyone in the community to show up, and they expected to get 30 or 40 people, and it turned into, was it like 2,000 people showed up? And there are these amazing images and videos of like this just caravan of bikes riding through Portland, and I've gotten a ton, which is really unexpected. I've gotten a ton of messages from people who were at that ride, saying, this was the best ride ever. When are we going to do it again? And so it was really well received.
Very cool. And for you personally, when you started riding your bike, what kind of transformations did you see, both, physically, mentally? How did it impact your life in a positive way?
The bike has always been, for me, a mental space of clarity, right? So, and I prefer, it's funny, I started this group to encourage people to ride together, but I prefer to ride by myself. Like, to me, getting on the bike and zoning out and just going until I can't go anymore is the best thing ever. So I got that. It brings me to a place where I can let my mind work and let my mind wander, and I've come up with ideas on the bike, and so it's a good mental exercise for me. And then also physically, I think most people know, probably preaching to the choir here, but as you ride more often, you get better, you become better coordinated, your stamina improves. So you get all those benefits wrapped into the mental health, and it's a great little package.
And what kind of feedback do you hear from other women who maybe, you said you grew up riding a bike, so you had some experience with it, but other women, this might be their very first time ever riding a bike. What kind of feedback are you getting from these people?
They're obviously intimidated going into it. And I think it's really nice because a lot of our sheroes have had that opportunity to really help someone from start at zero, right? And make the transition from, I don't know how to ride, to becoming a cyclist that's done, 30, 60 plus miles and attending events. But a lot of times you need someone, especially as an adult, right, to make that leap when falling has bigger consequences than it does when you're a child.
Absolutely. My mom has that problem. She does not want to fall off her bike.
It's a scary thought. You don't want to like break a hip and miss work for the next 3 months. You know what I mean? So, so certainly it's more intimidating as an adult to learn, but we do have ladies who have taken the leap and taken our help and made great progress. So that's one of the other benefits.
You mentioned the word shero. What is that?
Yeah, so shero is what we call our lady leaders, the ladies who take charge of our chapters, and obviously it's a play on words from hero to shero. And I thought heroine was a mouthful, so we went with shero. But yeah, people seem to like it. Everyone seems to like it.
Very cool. So behind your head, I want my viewers to see what kind of bike you have over there. That is a Trek checkpoint.
It is.
And I also have a Trek checkpoint right here. What are the coincidences? I didn't know you had one of these bikes. This weekend, you probably noticed I made a video that I'm auctioning off this Trek checkpoint. This is the Love Cycles bike that we're auctioning off, and we're going to give you half of the proceeds. And we're at, I think, $2,900, which is really cool.
Yeah, that's great.
But, I want to ask you some questions about the feedback I'm getting. Overwhelmingly positive feedback. But a couple of the comments I got on the video were white girls bike too.
Right.
Why do we need to be giving money to a black only bike club? And I answered their comments, and I always look at these moments. I'm learning a lot right now. I don't know everything, so I know and I understand that people are writing comments and questions, and this is a time for all of us to learn together. And so I responded to those comments as best as I could. But what would be your answer to somebody saying white girls bike too?
So first of all, I think you did an amazing job. I think your comment was right on point, your response. I think I think what it comes down to is when people hear the word black, they assume that we're being exclusionary or that we're associating some sort of superiority to being black, and that's not what it's about. We're saying we want all women to ride bikes. There are few women of color on bikes, fewer than any other group, I believe.
Yeah.
And I think that the sport of cycling and all the other and the industry of cycling, all of those things can benefit by having more people of color involved. So we wanted to be like an entry point to say, hey, if you're a person of color and you feel like there are barriers to you getting on a bike, come to us. We'll help you overcome those barriers. And then you can enter the cycling community at whatever level and wherever you feel comfortable. We kind of wanted to be like the entry point, the on ramp, if you will, to the cycling community.
Wow. And I noticed the language on your website. It's like, we welcome all women.
We do.
Especially people of color, but all women.
We do. Like, women of all races ride with us. We even have sheroes who are not African American. So it's we're all in this together. And if you can help in any way, help us. If you think that having us around is a good thing, then we're more than welcome to have the conversation and invite you on our rides.
Yeah. So you have a Trek Checkpoint, which is a gravel bike. What's your personal favorite type of riding? Do you have a favorite, ride around Pittsburgh or?
Yeah. So we were talking about the Gap Trail, which is the Great Allegheny Passage, for those that don't know.
And where does that go for people who don't
know? You can go all the way from downtown Pittsburgh to Washington, D.C. And there are smaller segments along the way that you could tackle in a day or a couple of days. But I consider myself a trail rider. I'm not completely comfortable on the road. It's not my favorite thing to do.
Yeah.
So I love to get on a trail and not have to worry about traffic. And also my kids can ride the trails with me, so it's a big deal. So I had a road bike, a traditional road bike, for the last 3 years, and I had the opportunity to get the Checkpoint. And I'm like, well, what's a big deal about a gravel bike? Because everyone's talking about them these days. And as soon as I got on it, I was like, this is the best of both worlds. It's got the comfort of a road bike, but the versatility of a bike that lets me ride on trails and even dirt and some other things. So, and it was super comfortable. So I was completely happy with it.
Very cool. I'm going to highlight a comment right here really quick. You're 100% right. I see very few Black women on bikes. That said, I see few old gals like me on bikes.
It's true.
What's the age range of the women that ride with you?
Oh, it varies. I would say if we had to pick a demographic, we're like 40 to 65. So
okay.
Yeah, which actually surprises me, because when Black Girls on Bikes started, I thought we'd get a lot of 20 somethings who were, really active, but no, we're getting women who are empty nesters and, who have careers that let them travel, and very diverse group of women who are discovering cycling in later years and living their best life on their bike.
Speaking of living their best life, I got my mom an e-bike last year, maybe more than a year ago now, and it's really changed her life. And she's an old gal, she's a pretty young mom, but she would be in the old gal category. But it really has inspired her in so many ways. She goes to the grocery store, she has little panniers on her bike, and she's scooting around town. And she just texted me yesterday and said, Ryan, I went over 900 miles on my e-bike in the year.
That's amazing.
Bike, which is really cool, because I'm guessing, I don't want to talk trash about my mom, that in her entire life she had never ridden 900 miles, not 900 miles total,
Yeah, right. Yeah, the e-bike opens up a whole new world. I'm a big fan. I was telling you, I have a foldable e-bike, and I hope to purchase at least another one. Even on those days when you just don't feel like it, it gives you the extra push. I personally, I'll tell you how I got into e-bikes. I had some, and still have some, health issues that make it hard for me to ride certain, when I'm having a flare where I'm experiencing symptoms. And in all honesty, I can not feel my best, but I can still get out on my bike and ride. And that's that's just the best. That's the best thing ever.
And I think a lot of my viewers can relate to that. We all love bikes and the outdoors in general because it just makes you feel better.
Hmm.
I always tell people, if you're having a really bad day, just go outside, and walk around.
Yeah.
You're gonna feel better. That fresh air goes a long way. And if
Yeah.
you're on a bike, that fresh air is in your face and it just feels so much better, right?
It does. It does. It is. It's therapeutic to be outdoors. Like just the sun beating on you can lift your mood, right? Just riding and feeling the wind or the smells around you. All those things get your brain working and can make the day better. So yeah, absolutely, riding is therapy.
So when you have these big, groups of women on bikes, Portland last week was 2,000 people. Are you going pretty slow? You're whooping and hollering and ringing your bells? Is it just kind of like a celebration, or are you going for it, like tucking in and going?
No, I think with a crowd that large, actually, I don't think I've ever ridden personally. I take that back. I have with a crowd that large, but you move pretty slow and deliberate, and you're making sure everyone stays together as best as you can. But it always depends on the group. Of course, smaller groups you're a little bit more nimble, and you can do a little more and go a little further.
Yeah. In Boulder, we have something called the Thursday night cruiser ride, and we get
Hmm.
500 to 700 people, and people wear costumes, and it's just a casual, fun ride. And, one of the old slogans was no spandex allowed. Like, it was just supposed to be casual, and that's
Yeah.
a lot of fun. And I love seeing that more cities around the country are doing casual bike rides.
Yeah, I've attended the Slow Roll in Cleveland, which is
Oh,
just a
nice.
couple hours from here, and that was spectacular. And that was my first experience with such a ride, and it was great. Even the kids were able to ride with us because we weren't,
Yeah.
full throttle, so it was nice.
All right, we have a question here from Brian Sutton. What are some of
Okay.
the excuses you hear from people on why they are hesitant to get into bikes? How do you help them overcome those?
That's a good question. So I get that question a lot. Why don't women ride bikes more?
Yeah.
And I think it varies. I think for women of color who I specialize in, a lot of times it comes down to just not having someone in your life to model that behavior to you.
Yeah.
So that it's unlikely that you have a relative that's riding, so you don't think about, oh yeah, I could hop on my bike for this or for that. And then just in general, if something's new and you don't really know where to start, that's obviously going to be intimidating.
Yeah.
Uh, Black women have a lot of us are wearing our hair in natural hairstyles now, and as beautiful as they are, they can vary in size and shape, and
Yeah.
that can make it difficult to find a helmet that fits. So you can find a helmet that fits. There are techniques you can use to overcome that, but it's certainly a concern for a lot of people, and even beyond that, like sweating our hair out and the consequences of what it'll look like the next day once we've exercised
Educate
profusely.
me on that. What does the hair look like after you sweat it out? Kinda-
Definitely bigger than it looked before you sweat. And I think we don't talk about it enough, but I know I have this concern, which as a person of color, I worry that if I'm on the road, right, I might be opening myself up to intimidation or even acts of violence by drivers who might have a negative perception of who I am based on the color of my skin. So
yeah.
I believe that keeps some people off of bikes, or at least off of roads.
Yeah.
And so yeah, so there are lots of things. And as Black Girls Do Bike, we try to tackle all of those things. I think the fact that that's one of the great things about bringing women together is that we have conversations, and those conversations lead to solutions.
Oh, that's wonderful. Yeah, I love that.
Yeah.
That's great. And to go along with that, you've kind of talked about it, but another comment I got in the video I just made about the bike auction is, hey, Ryan, maybe Black people don't ride bikes because they just don't like riding bikes. What would you say to that?
I've never heard that one.
Yeah.
That's a good one. I honestly don't think it's that.
Yeah.
I think once you get on a bike, you'll get hooked, at least, and maybe that's the naivete of me, but I think riding bikes is awesome. Um, I think it really comes down to opportunity
Yeah.
and circumstance, and if given, for instance, if if Black people can excel at just about any sport, I don't think anyone would disagree that we can excel at sport, right?
Really.
So if you have a professional sport where there aren't many Black people at the elite level or even the amateur level, then the question is, well, if we have the ability to excel, why aren't we in those circles? So then you have to kind of, look in reverse, right? Reverse engineer and find out where are those breakdowns happening? Is it a lack of opportunity? Is there no feeder program that grabs these cyclists as young people and helps them flourish and become professional? So no, I don't think it's that we don't like the bike. I really think it's just a lack of opportunity and resources.
Yeah, and I talked to one of my friends last week who was also a Black guy, and he bikes a lot. And he said that, I don't ever see advertisements with people that look like me in the cycling world or even the outdoor world in general. He was talking about, to go to your point about helmets. He's like, I wanted to see what a certain helmet looked like on my color skin. And all the examples on the website were white skin. And so these are small things we don't even think about. It goes back to Band-Aids all being like white flesh color, and that's
and that's the Black experience, right? We're not the default in this country, so we don't see ourselves reflected. Now that is changing, and I mean from the time that I was a child till now, you see it more in advertising, lots of things. But I think if you pull up a website and you're looking for smiling faces of people of color and you don't see it, it's a little disheartening, for one. And for two, then in the back of your mind, you're thinking, well, why aren't we there? Is this an intentional oversight, or is this just an oversight? And so, and then that's why these conversations are important.
Absolutely. I think we may have answered this at the very beginning, but we'll do it again. When I was a kid on a bicycle was an integral part of my childhood. Did Monica have a bicycle in her childhood?
I did. I had my very first bike, like a low slung banana seat, yellow. I guess you call it a lowrider bike now. Nice. From like Kmart or something. That was my first bike. And I have it's a sad story because the bike was stolen probably a month after I got it.
No.
So yeah.
All about stolen bikes. It's horrible.
Yeah, you do. Right from my house, stolen. Never saw it again. So that was a little traumatic, of course. But eventually, my parents did get me another bike, and I was as good as new.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Let's have another question here. What would you like to see in terms of community-based biking services and infrastructure?
I guess it depends on the community, but I think I'm a big fan of programs to get kids bikes for free. We have a co-op here called the Red Lantern Bikes, and they do a great job. They just collect bikes from every resource possible, right? And they take them all in, they fix them, they teach people how to fix them, and then they repurpose those bikes to kids who need them, especially now with the situation we're in with the pandemic and all the other things going on. It's really great that they're able to do that. So I'm a big fan of that. And even beyond kids in need, there are people, whether it be our immigrant population or our low income population, who need bikes for transportation. And so as many, extra bikes there are in folks' garages and or old bikes laying around, there are enough bikes in the world that everyone who needs one should have one. I do believe that.
Absolutely. And we have something similar in Boulder, and a lot of bigger cities have community bike shops where they do either donate bikes every year, or they have programs where you can earn a bicycle, where you go in, work it off, and you get your bike. And it's not a lot of hours. I mean, they want to make it fairly easy for people, but they also want you to do a little bit of work.
Yeah.
And, you got a bike as a child, I got a bike as a child, and it was life changing. And it's, that's what I've been doing essentially all my life. Another really good question here. My wife was a rider, but unfortunately stopped. I want her to get in touch with you ladies, so you may encourage her to get back on her bike. How can she and others get in touch with you and other riders?
We love to have her. If you do go to our website, blackgirlsdobike.com, there's a location tab that you can click on. It'll show you all of our locations listed nice and neatly. And we're based on Facebook. We organize, and everything's done on Facebook. So hopefully she's on Facebook. And if not, she can reach out through our email, blackgirlsdobike@gmail.com.
Cool.
And I will forward her information to the whoever's riding in her area so they can make a connection.
Here this is a funny question from my buddy Amir. Do Black celebrities and athletes need to ride more to endorse cycling the way they do sneakers?
That wouldn't hurt. I mean, that could work. I know LeBron James is big into cycling. If you Google him and cycling, you'll find his initiatives to encourage it. I mean, I think celebrities have a lot of other causes to throw their support behind, but absolutely, if cycling was on their radar, I'm sure it would help.
Yeah, and also Reggie Miller's a big cyclist. He's another.
Yeah, now that you mention it, I do remember that. And Bo Bikes Bama.
Oh yeah,
Bo Jackson. Sorry, he's a big cyclist.
All right, here's a great one. Here we go. Great session. Do you work with the brands so their marketing will be more inclusive? Can we help as consumers?
From your lips to their ears. I do. I won't lie. I have two partners currently. We have two partners currently. One is Trek and one is REI, amazing retailers who have been, even before all this craziness, they were looking for ways to support us. And part of that has been, I know, for instance, REI had they were trying to have clothing that was more inclusive in their stores to larger women. And so they solicited help from us, and some of our ladies, I believe it was in California, did some testing of the clothing and gave them feedback. And that ended up, allowing them to expand their, no pun intended, to expand their offerings. And so things like that. Yes, we have been able to do that on a small scale, but I expect to do a lot more of that in the next few years.
And where do you see Black Girls Do Bike in 5 or 10 years? What would be your ultimate goal? Worldwide, clubs everywhere?
Yeah, like 1,000 chapters.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we have the ability to expand. I mean, we've done it so many times. We've got a good template to recreate what we have here in other parts of the world. So while I expect it to be a challenge, I'm fully confident that we can have chapters all over. So I like to see that type of growth. But also, I talk about becoming educators. So I would love for our sheroes to get some sort of certification, and we are working on this behind the scenes, a certification that would give them a certain skill level, or certain foundation to work from, so that they can pass those skills on to other ladies. So we like to have, our North Star is getting more women on bikes.
Yeah.
But there are so many other things around that, and that's it's been exciting to see how far we've come, but we have a lot further to go for sure.
Absolutely. This is another great question right here from Erica Lee. How do you feel infrastructure within predominantly Black neighborhoods affects communities of color when it comes to biking?
I mean, that's a huge part of it, because it's funny. I was watching something. Anyway, they were talking about how roads in more affluent neighborhoods are made of different materials. I was watching a YouTube video on bike tire pressure, and it was like ad nauseum, right? The things you can change to make the tire pressure most efficient. And one of the things they brought out was that more affluent neighborhoods, the cement and the asphalt is a different mixture. And so you have to account for that when you ride. So I say that to say a lack of infrastructure, poor riding conditions, those are all things that you find in neighborhoods that are, poverty stricken or underserved. So yeah, you're going to see less cyclists, or less people willing to ride, when the conditions aren't such that it's welcoming for them to ride.
Yeah.
And I think that's probably one of the biggest failures of our bike ped organizations around the country.
Uh-oh. You still there? Uh-oh. Can you guys still hear me at least? Uh-oh. Can you guys hear me?
It takes time. Sometimes it's not done with the same fervor. and people suffer because of it.
All right, I think we lost you for a second there, but
yeah, I saw black, but I kept talking just in case you could
all
hear
right.
one
Well,
thing.
it seemed a perfect little seam there. That's all right.
Mm.
So I was on your website earlier, and you won Bike Club of the Year from the League of American Cyclists. What does
Yes.
that mean?
It means we're the best there ever was and ever will be.
Yes.
No, I think it was just an acknowledgement that, we've been here for so long and we've been affecting lives for the last 7 years. And I've been, I've spoken at the National Bike Summit a handful of times, which the league sponsors. And so they were just calling us out and saying, and it wasn't just them because it was a nomination, right? So people had to write in and say, this club is amazing. They need to be acknowledged.
Mm-hmm.
So it just goes to the effort that we put in, and folks are recognizing that and acknowledging that. And they stated, I think when we were given the award, it was that we were welcoming to women, to all women. And I got a little teary eyed when they said that, because I'm like, yeah, that's sometimes that gets missed, but they acknowledge that.
Yep. Do you ever let husbands or boyfriends join for fun?
We do. So I encourage the chapters to have a couple of co-ed rides throughout the year, because our guys are our supporters as well. Generally, our pages, our group pages, we actually do keep them closed to the fellas.
All right.
But mainly we don't want the space to be competitive. We want to be able to speak freely as women about the things that concern us specifically. And sometimes that conversation is better had in a ladies only space. But yeah, we allow the fellas to come along for rides, and we've had great results with that as well.
I remember covering the Nike women's marathon once in San Francisco. And when the women crossed the finish line, they had a bunch of firefighters dressed up in tuxedos giving the women their medals.
That's cool.
And I thought it was so cool. So maybe you could work that somehow where the husbands and boyfriends have to serve the women in some way. That'd be pretty cool.
Hand them a rose. Yeah, we do have them do side support for us. That works out really well, where they're like ready, to help us and toss us bananas or, snack bars.
Right on. Here we go. Ali Solomon. Yes, BGDB is the best cycling group I've ever been part of. They definitely deserve the award. That's so cool. Thank you, Ali.
Well, thank you. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. Nice. Well, the internet connection might be getting a little weak, or it's getting a little bit tired. I don't want to lose you again, but let's try to finish this up in the next few minutes here. What can we do? You kind of answered this. What can we do as a community to help support you? Whether it's just straight up support or financial support or get your name out, what can we do?
Yeah, I always say spread the word. Just tell people that we exist, because that's the best way that we're going to grow. And if you're not a person of color, but you know a person of color who rides bikes or you think might benefit from being a part of our organization, tell them about us and direct them to the website. I think it's important just to be welcoming in general. So, someone, this is obviously unique to minorities, but if you show up to a room and you're the only one there, that feels a particular type of way. So just in general, the golden rule, right? Treat people the way you want to be treated. If you're welcoming to people when they show up in a room and they're the only one there, know that they are most likely intimidated, but they would welcome, being openly welcome. Yeah. And then as a chapter or as a company and our chapters, they need expertise. So whatever it is that you're good at in the cycling industry, whether you're a good community organizer or you have access to spare bikes, or you're a mechanic and you want to have a class and let our ladies attend at the shop that you work at, all those things help us. So any expertise that you can lend is great. And then finally, obviously monetarily, we can do a lot more when we have funding. The more money talks, right? So all the goals that we have and inspirational things we want to do, we'll get to them a lot faster. And so you can support us monetarily. We even have, for companies who want to support us, we have 8-foot flags that we send around the country to events. Cool. And we're able to put your logo on the flag and give you a little shout out. but also it supports our chapters, because otherwise those chapters would have to pay, you know, a huge amount of money to buy those flags. So now we have a rotation where they're able to get them.
That's very cool.
So, yeah.
This is a great question right here from Kirk from Texas. Are there any Black cyclists who are YouTubers that we can subscribe to and follow? Does Monica upload videos? She does. Would be a great way to inspire the younger generation. Do you know of any big name YouTubers or even just athletes on Instagram?
Instagram is probably more active than YouTube. I know there are some. I know there's the Black Cyclist Network, who is run by a guy. He's in the UK, I believe, and he races. I'm trying to. Of course, you put me on the spot here.
You know Brooklyn Bell?
No, I don't think I know that.
Bell's out of Washington, and a really cool movie just came out about her on the Patagonia YouTube channel.
Okay.
She's a pro mountain biker, and her name is Brooklyn Bell. So look her up, everybody, if you're watching this. I watched that film a few weeks ago on YouTube, and it's really well done. It's awesome. And she has a very big Instagram following, and she's an artist, so she has lots of cool art that she uploads. So Brooklyn Bell's a good one. Brooklyn Bell. Yeah.
Yeah, I wrote that down. I'm gonna look her up.
Nice. This is another interesting question here. Have you ladies ever shown up at the national sorority conventions to spread the word, such as I don't know those Sigma Gamma Rho?
Yeah, deltas, alphas.
Oh, you know it.
Zetas, sigmas. Yeah.
Yeah.
So no, but many of our ladies are members of the sorority, so they are spreading the word. Absolutely, and they want us to, like, I get the requests all the time. Hey, can you make cycling jerseys in our Delta colors? Because you know we want to represent. So yeah, they're getting the message out. But that's a good idea, and that's one of those things that we could certainly do.
So I know I said we were going to end it, but we're getting a lot of great questions. Here's another one. Do your Sheroes do any mentoring for young Black girls to encourage them to discover the love of cycling?
Yes. So in general, like, we allow girls to come on our rides as long as they're accompanied by a responsible adult. So you have that. In addition, and that's one of the things we've been working on, we have at least 4 Sheroes around the country who have plans to work with kids directly, in that age group of like 8 to 16. And so we have a few programs in the works. We're looking for resources to make it happen. We have a few big names who want to help us. So I think that's going to materialize in the next year or so. But absolutely, I mean, the children are our future, right? And if we want cycling to flourish, then we need to get them cycling early and give them the tools they need to be good cyclists. And so yeah, we're working on that.
Well, speaking of children flourishing, I know you have small children in the house right now. I don't want to take you away from them. So I want to say thank you so much for being with me today, for being with all of us. Thank you to all the viewers out there for your questions. You are awesome. And I will link below this video when it's on my channel later to all the Black Girls Do Bike websites and Instagrams and all that fun stuff. So thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, this has been great. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Bye, everybody. We'll see you next time. All right.